when I used to play basketball, there were some times where I left the floor, my eyes are blood red. I've gotten in fights on the basketball court. I but the problem with me when it comes to being competitive is I can't control the rage.
Welcome back to the show. There's no telling where we'll go. So come and share a laugh on the Imp and Skizz podcast.
Welcome back, BDubs, part 2. Everyone's
Very
waited
happy
a
to be
whole
back.
week for you to find out what we're going to talk about this time around.
Oh, baby.
Last time was great, man. We learned a lot about you and your time being a content creator, and I think this time around, I just want to learn more. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
like that's all we want to do is just continue to dissect the brainium of B00 if you will. So let's see. Let's start things off because we started talking right at the end of the last one about how you kind of like rejoined Hermitcraft.
Yeah.
You know, season 1. Generic B had started Hermitcraft and kind of brought you in. You were there for season 1 for a bit. And then you guys were doing the big Minecraft stuff, and so you'd kind of taken a little bit of hiatus from Hermitcraft, but you came back. I actually thought you came back in season 4 with the NHO group. Is that correct? I think you said 5, but it might have been 4. I can't remember. You know, this is what, 6-7 years ago at this point.
Yeah,
Crazy.
What can I? Yeah, I remember it started with a village. Like we all did like a village in a central area. It was the season that Scar, I know, did the underground tree
Okay, that
shopping
was
district.
season 5 then. Yeah.
Was that 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. But you guys had the NHO, the New Hermit Order. You guys, the 4 mind crack dudes that came in to Hermitcraft and had to show us how the OGs did it.
Unbelievable.
That was fun to see, man. But it was great to have you back and have you around. And we didn't do anything that season for some reason.
We
That was
didn't.
that was a very weird isolated season in Hermitcraft's history where there wasn't a whole lot of collaboration being done. But that changed in season 6, which is you know, when Green joined us and you fell back into the world we talked about that sequence
Literally.
and that's when I really feel like Hermitcraft started to hit its stride. You know, season 6 we had it was very much more collaborative than previous seasons had been. You know, we had things where this was like the first time we had like these storylines, these story arcs going on, you know, like the Civil War and stuff. That must have been a trip to come back in and like have the whole like kind of vibe of Hermitcraft kind of change right in front of our eyes, right?
Yes. Yeah. It was actually it was pretty nerve-wracking, to be honest. Like I remember when I joined back in, it was just a new YouTube was different, you know, it was a different world, and you know, the way you grow and how you find success and kind of the audience shift, all kind of happened. Like I'm doing Minecraft stuff, and like kind of felt like our audience back then was maybe like 20s to 30s, and then coming back into Hermitcraft in season 6, I felt like the audience had gotten a lot younger, which is a great thing. You know, when the target audience expands, you're going to be able to reach more people, which was a great thing. But I was scared to death to say anything because I was like, I was from, you know, I used to say swear words on YouTube.
Potty mouth this one.
Yeah. And so I not only just for the swearing, but just for like, I knew there were stories present, and when there is kind of a story, like we had talked about earlier, opposite of improv, one misstep can destroy the whole thing. If you make your character do something out of the ordinary or outside of the scope of this story, you can ruin it. You can or deflate the whole story. So and I think I was giving all that a little more credit than I should have, but at the time I was very nervous. Like, okay, just don't, like, just settle in the background, you know, mess with some people a little bit here and there, but then for the most part, so it was a nerve-wracking time joining back again. But it was more of like a well-oiled machine, you know. People, you guys had really figured out some great ways to create entertaining content that I had to learn from quite a
Yeah,
bit.
and you had to kind of get to know everybody as well,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
is the thing. You know, we had a podcast called Collaborative Content Creation where we talked about the dynamics of coming together with a fellow creator that you may not be like super familiar with,
Mhm.
and then having to basically improv together and have that back and forth vibe, and it's not easy, you know,
Yes.
when you're with a new group, and at this point it kind of was for you like
Yeah.
a whole new group coming into season 6 to
Yep.
try to figure out how to vibe with each person, and we're all so unique, you know. I think that's what makes Hermitcraft special
Yeah.
is we have such a variety of styles and personalities in our group that you kind of have to take that time. But for you, I mean, how was that experience for you? Like, did you feel like you kind of like fell right into place and things were just easy, or did it actually take some time to kind of figure out what everybody's vibe was that you could kind of play off of?
It took time. It definitely took time. You know, Iskal and I we did Full Craft together. So I had a bit of a comfort zone with him and, you know, some other people that I had played with in the past. Uh, Even recently, a great example of this was the Life series. You know, uh, I consider Pearl a friend, but like we haven't done hardly anything together,
Hmm.
you know? Off camera, you know, we interact and stuff, but like really working together on in our on-camera voices, when we started Secret Life, we're together. And as I'm going through editing the videos, I'm realizing, oh, like I'm not giving her space. You got to figure out each house people's cadence and stuff.
Hmm.
Some people it's easier than others because it's more, you know, matches your own. Um, but that was a big thing is like you don't know how to match energies or something like that. So it was definitely a big learning process. And I feel like I I caught on pretty quick with you and Tango, and I really like that energy. And that's, you know, then boomers were
It was
born.
Boomers was for anybody that doesn't know, Boomers was your idea. You came to us
Yeah,
and you said, you know, hey, this could be a fun thing, you know, one
yeah,
to kind of play off of the joke that we're old,
yeah,
the three of us,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
two, you know, like Tango and I are, you know, we love our Redstone and stuff, and you're an idea machine, and with the three of us working together, we could do some really fun stuff being the Boomers, a TNT demolition crew.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And that was some really fun times. I think, you know, if you look back at seasons and you're like, oh, this season, this was the staple for me. Like
Mhm.
Boomers was one of my big staples of my Hermitcraft
Same.
career.
Yeah.
And the merch
Yeah.
was
That
amazing. Tell Jay he did an amazing job on
yeah.
the Boomers
It
merch.
was
But
good
my
merch
family
as
still
well.
wears it out in public, which is saying a lot. So
That's good. That's good. I saw a clip again recently. You know how these things will pop up in our recommendeds, and uh, I saw the clip of me out on the raft at Corralis's
Mm.
place, and I'm cringing so hard watching it because it's like I had set up his piston cannon thing, but there's no sticky pistons, no slime balls or anything. It's just two pistons, and it's pretty obvious that like it's not gonna work. And he knows it's not gonna work, but he's acting, you know?
Yeah.
But still, we had some really good moments in there. It
Yeah.
was fun.
Yeah, that was quite the fun ride.
Yeah.
You also were in a bit of a demolition crew in the Life series.
Well, that's
Which
what I was.
which
Yeah,
one was
that's
that?
what-
Which one was that?
that was
you guys were
Team Best.
best. Yeah.
That was
Yeah!
BDubs Ethos Skizz Tango, and I remember that was. I was going to ask you guys about this because when you're talking about learning somebody else, I find myself engaging each person differently. I find that my online Minecraft dynamics is very much mirrors my real life. When I talk to somebody new for the first time, I listen to the tempo of their voice. I listen to the types of answers they give, and I tend to mirror them because it makes for better conversation and it
Of
just
course,
makes them
yeah.
more comfortable, right? So in this world, you got to do the same thing, and you only have seconds to figure it out. And I would say that Team Best was really my first exposure, not my first exposure to BDubs and Etho, but my first time really having an actual crew, if you will, you know, with them. And I next thing I know, I'm like, I have this voice in my head that's like, Skizz, you need to chill out. You're being pretty pushy about the things that you want to happen here. But it ended up just being so much fun. And we created that, that TNT cannon. And I think that was BDubs and Etho, their first exposure to who Skizz actually is. And
absolutely.
And I said, we're going to do a TNT cannon, like a pit crew. We're going to set it up, shoot it, tear it down. I want it like, it's got to be boom. So I started to like put it together. And the first one we built and fired it took us about 37 seconds. And I wanted this thing done in about 3, right? It took us 37 seconds. And there's the best part. BDubs is all, that was pretty fast. And I said, that's not even close. And right then, Etho goes, oh, he's a stickler. It was so funny, too.
Cracking the whip.
We ended up getting it down to a point where it was like, BDubs, you're the front man. When you place a block, that's the first block, and we're all going to do it based on that. We worked, and Martin was spying on us. And when he was spying, when we were done, he said, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And we went and did it, and it was just like, so much fun. And we found each other's cadence, and we all complimented each other, and we just had this like this fun dance throughout the rest of it. And I was like, that was a chapter that I was very proud of and very happy to have. But it takes learning, and you have to learn who they are. You have to learn the dance. Who's going to lead? Who's going to follow? Are we going to trade places? And that one, it felt like we had been doing it for years. In my mind.
Yeah, that was a fantastic time. That's for sure. And you know, I was a firstborn in my family, but not necessarily natural leader or comfortable in leadership position. I think Etho is also that way, and maybe Tango as well. You, third, last born, youngest. Natural, like you just stepped in, and it was a gap that was necessary within this group. You know, every group needs to have a leader in it, and you stepped up and you took it, and it flowed really, really well.
That's great to hear. And then you you go to this last season, and my crew was me, Tango, and Big B, and Big B was in a conversation with you and Etho, and I come up on the conversation, and I just barely hear Etho say, yes, because he runs a tight ship. And I said, what are you saying? Yeah. And I go, what are you saying? I'm bossy. Big B, go home. I got to talk to these guys. And you just started rolling. It was so funny, man.
That was great. Oh man.
We've had some great seasons in the Life series. And one thing that, you know, Skizz and I have talked about on the podcast multiple times is that it's really about improv. It's about finding out what you can do from the stance of being a quick improviser on what you're going to say and react in certain situations. And I wasn't a theater kid. I was never really like naturally talented at acting or doing any kind of improv, or being a comedian was never something that I envisioned myself trying to do or anything like that. And so it doesn't come natural. And like you said, it's, you know, sometimes you just got to work at something over and over again. And the Life series has kind of given us a platform to kind of like work those improv muscles out. But like, I'm thinking back to the very first season, Third Life, and like you seem to just like feel like a complete natural, at least from the outside looking in, at least in those moments that we had together in that series. I was like, man, BDubs is just like such a natural at improv and being very witty. Like, is that because of the fact that like you had so many years of Minecraft? I mean, like, you were good back in the B team days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you and Generic B had the same type of back and forth. That was very witty, very quick improv style. So there must be something natural there. It doesn't feel like something you had to work at super hard, at least from the outside looking in.
My dad is probably the funniest person I know. My dad is extremely funny, and has always been good in that area. evolving stories. You know, I might say something funny, and then he'll throw an additional funny thing on it to make it even funnier. And um, but this is actually kind of connected to something Scar told me. It is a big thing, and I think in a lot of aspects of life. Scar was down. It was season 5. Scar was working on the tree shopping district, and he was not swearing, but cursing the world because it was such a difficult project. But we started talking, and he brought up the value of a visual library when it comes to art and building and stuff like that. And he directed me to a video, and it just talked about how some of the best artists that we call naturally talented and stuff, they are that way because they have a visual library. They see things and they think, oh, that's cool. And then it's just stored in there. So whenever you're working on something and you're coming to a what do I do next, you have this huge library of in your memory of things to reference. To bring that to this question, I think I have a big. I was raised on comedy, you know, and so my library of things, I guarantee everything that I say that might be funny or witty or quick-witted can tie to something that I've seen.
Sure,
You know, it's
sure.
inspired by something I've seen. One of my favorite shows of all time when it comes to comedy is Reno 911. Have you guys seen Reno
Yeah.
911?
It's been a while.
You
but yeah.
can't. I think it's on Paramount now. That's a whole, you know, all the streaming services. That's another topic. But so I haven't seen it in a while, but it's one of my favorite shows. And I've watched every single season of that show, maybe like 5, 6 seasons, 10 times in my lifetime. I rewatch, and that whole show is outline. You know, we're in the office and we're doing this. Everything else is just improv from there. And I think mentally I'm just watching and studying it, you know, and I'm just thinking, oh, that's a funny thing, that's a funny thing, that's a funny thing. So not as much me, but just the library that I have in my head of just like, you know, a lot of watching other people that are extremely talented, you know.
Sounds like you got sort of the same gift as Skizz, where like when you watch stuff, you're able to like just put it in the bank, right?
Yeah.
Like, and remember it like word for word and, you know, pixel for pixel, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not that way. Like I'll be watching something and I'll be like, that's a funny joke. I bet most people haven't seen this, and I could probably reuse that joke and nobody would even know where it's from. Okay, I'm gonna put that in the bank. And then the time comes and it's the perfect opportunity to use it. And nope, just forgot. Just like, nope, it didn't come out. And then you get done recording or whatever, and you're like, dang it, that was it.
Yeah.
That was the moment. You know what I mean? So like my recallability is not on the level, obviously, of yours and Skizz. We all know that Skizz has a gift to memorize every word of every movie he's ever seen. Without even effort. So I could see that.
That's the moment when we turn the audio back on and then dub in that joke.
Dub in the joke. Yeah. Get you back on the call. BDubs, could you just do a laugh real quick? Like you responded to my joke that I should have told. Yeah.
Haha, good one.
Post-editing, post-processing. There you go.
So let's ask you this. Let's get a little bit from a content creation standpoint, let's get a little bit vulnerable. What does BDubs think of BDubs in regards to the product that you put out there, and what is an area of entertainment or content creation that you would like to expand in and get a little better at?
Ooh, good question. Okay, but I have answers, which is a good thing for this podcast. All right, what do I think of myself? I tend to look back on old me, and I think there's like this time period where if it was like maybe 5 years ago or further, who knows, that's just general number, I will see what I'm doing and cringe at it and just be like, what, you know. I think a lot of people have this.
Oh,
know, where it's like, I was such an idiot, you know. But you know, and that's so my season finale for Hermitcraft, I did a react to me video because I just thought the irony of it is funny. I don't like react videos very much, but I was like, this whole premise could be funny. And I actually, like, for the first time looked back on a few things that I did, and I was like, that was funny.
Yeah.
So I think there are some times where I'm like, I actually did a good thing, you know. Most of the time I feel like it's trash, you know. But so, you know, it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag as far as how I see myself in that area. The thing that I would love to improve on the most, the best visual storyteller I know is Low Res Bones. He's a content creator, Minecraft YouTuber, and his visual storytelling is so good. Like, not even a lot has to be said, but just from what you're seeing, the story is being told. And I watch it, and I'm like, man, I wish I could do something like that. You know, it's like how Mumbo has like this other eye that can see things that nobody else can see, how to frame a shot, how to color a shot, and stuff like that. That's an area I'm very, very lacking in. You know, I right now my process is I get an idea, I'm going to build this, I hit record and do the things and say this is my plan for it. But the story within it kind of gets lost. You know, people understand like, okay, yeah, he worked hard to build this thing and learned this and this and this through it, and then he got his horse killed by Scar. Scar killed my day one horse on purpose.
I think he's still bitter about it.
Yeah. No, it's fine. It's
you
fine.
don't
Water
kill
under the
another
bridge.
person's horse. I've learned this also the hard way.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. But yeah, learning how to tell stories as a content creator through more than just your words, and you see this in movie and television and stuff like that. That's an area where I feel like I'm an infant and would really like to learn more of.
Well, I'll tell you what, when we had Mumbo on the show, he said something to us in the interview that has absolutely imprinted. It's something I'm like, I'm going to take this advice. And I think he thought he was kind of making a joke, but it was so profound. And what he said was to when you have a stupid idea, lean all the way into it, fully commit to a stupid idea. Like either don't get started or just commit all the way. And what ends up happening on the other side of that arguably very uncomfortable coin is that you end up producing a product that is a lot of fun to look at. And so that is something to where I was like, that is advice, because for some reason I was stuck in this rut to where I didn't want to get started on something unless I had some sort of full confidence that this is going to be a grand slam. That's not a way to live. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like when I have like ideas or whatever, I just realize I'm going to recall this with Mumbo. And I've had things in the past that worked out well because I had a lot of confidence that it was going to be a good thing, like Skyburger. But then there's a lot of things that I pondered in my mind and I extinguished instantly without even trying. Had I done what Mumbo had said, maybe gold, maybe we would have had some gold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that personally for me, that's one of the things that I want to get better at. I want to take Mumbo's advice there. Yeah. And whatever next project I'm on, I want to do that. I want to have a dumb idea and just lean all the way in.
It takes a bit.
Diarrhea base.
See? Now we have to do it.
Oh, done. That's next season.
Diarrhea
base. There's also a confidence level in like you said, like you kind of thrive in the self-deprecation kind of joke space, right? Well, as you mentioned your video about your reacts to yourself, I watched that, and there is a certain clip in there that I have watched probably 10 times and find myself laughing even harder after the 10th time through. And that is when you left in the clip of you having a crazy brain fart in what you were trying to say.
If not been area.
Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
If you're in an area for a long time, zombies are more likely to pick up items. But if it's an area that's not very spawned, it hasn't been good English. If it's an area that's been around for a very, very not been very, if not been area or you're around much, then it can spawn. So I think we'll just leave the zombie collection for another day, or maybe a live stream, because I do those.
Yeah. So you left in this clip where you were trying to say something and you just couldn't get it out. And it de-evolved into a space where you weren't even speaking real words.
No.
And you just went with it. Now, that is where I feel like there's a quiet confidence in what you're putting on film that because for me, I'm too much of a hide my mistakes type of guy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want the world to see me in this light where I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? And for you, you're like, no, I totally had a brain fart, and it was just it's comedy gold. Like, have you seen this clip?
I have. You sent it to me.
I sent it to everybody. I sent it to my mom. Dude, man. I was dying. Like, I've watched a lot of your content over the years, and I don't think I've ever been like crying laughing as much as I was in watching that clip. That's so like for me, and that's when my mind's like, you see, that's where he's got it. That's where he understands comedy, because he knew, it was a non-perfect moment. And some people would be like, oh, I flubbed that up. I cut that out. I redo that scene. And you're like, no, I want everybody to see this. And I just want to say thank you, because I've gotten so many laughs from that clip, and it was absolutely amazing, man. That was just like, I was in awe of that, and I learned something from it. Like you were saying, like you watch Low Res Bones and kind of see something that, like, oh, somebody's doing this thing, and I that's where I want to grow in that space, and so now you can kind of like study that person and try to learn from them. Like that's kind of what I got out of that moment, was like, hey, here's a quick reminder. Sometimes imperfection is perfection, you know?
I get that for sure. I think especially nowadays, the way people consume content. Sorry if my mic's not. I had it in the wrong place. The way people consume content, if people want to learn, like in that scenario, I was trying to, here I go. I'm going to try to explain it. I was trying to explain that mobs, if you're in an area for a long time, mobs are more likely to pick up items. For some reason, then I was trying to explain the counter to that, which is totally unnecessary. But the realization that it doesn't matter. Like, People are not clicking on my video because they want me to teach them something. If they want to learn something, they want a video that's going to say, you want to know how to make a T flip-flop? Bing, 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 bing. Done. They're watching this whole thing because they just want to be entertained.
Yes.
And the fact that I was failing to teach something, in editing, I saw it and I was like, well, this is let's just leave it. Like, they're not going to learn from this. You can't learn from me saying whatever I was saying. But yeah, so I just thought, well, let's just leave it in. Let's leave it in.
Yeah. And I think in your reacts video, like you had kind of said, like that wasn't something that like people had pointed out to you as a clip that's like necessarily stuck with them, but you knew that it was a clip that should stick with them. You know what I mean? And that's why you included it in your reacts.
Yeah. It was also one of those things to where sometimes I think we all question ourselves and think, you know, is my humor different than everybody else? Like, am I not in touch with everybody because we find something funny when nobody else does? And I felt like maybe that could be one of those moments where it's like, I found it funny, but, you know, maybe I watched too many Pink Panther videos back in the day, and I'm the only one that gets this reference, you know.
But there's something different. There's esoteric humor where it's lost on many people because it is referencing something that that has little exposure, and then there's just a type of humor, right? So in the last podcast, you mentioned Jerry Lewis, right? And for anybody who actually doesn't recognize that name, think Jim Carrey. Right. So Jim Carrey, it was very obvious that one of Jim Carrey's biggest influences was Jerry Lewis. They had they were just their physical nature, and they're exacerbated and they over the top. And that's what that was. Jim Carrey, in my opinion, when I was getting, and Impulse knows this about me, like he was my number one. Like I just thought he was the funniest dude in the world, everything he did. But there is a great many people who think that he is the furthest thing from funny.
True.
So we find ourselves in this space to where it's like, how can something come off to me as such an absolute good, but for some people it's the exact opposite. And you know, in hindsight, I've had plenty of things exposed to me that people find just to be hilarious, and I'm just like, what?
Yep.
Yeah.
I just thought, but and it's weird because I'm like, I say things and I'm razzing them because it's typically like my friends or my wife. I'm like, that's objectively not funny. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm the authority in funny, and that's not funny, and that's I'm obviously making a joke, but I don't get it. But so you just have to be at peace with the fact that if you find it funny, that's indicative that somebody else also does, and you just got to just be at peace with it and move forward.
Yeah. At least one
For
person.
sure.
And, you know,
At least
it may be just yourself, but yeah.
It's not
True. Yeah.
No, but you do. I mean, when you go for it, like when you do things and you put yourself out there and you go for it, right?
Yeah.
Like there is a good chance that you're gonna strike out, you're gonna swing and you're gonna miss. And it's better, I would say, to try to swing for the fences, if we want to stick with the analogy of baseball. Try to swing for the fences and strike out than to just watch the strike go by. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of that's how I feel like it is with you and Skizz, and the way that you present some of the comedic situations that you present is it may not be for everyone, but at least you're trying, and you might connect. You might hit a home run. Yeah, you know what I mean. And with at least some of the population, you're going to, like, every time. You know, people will find it funny, and then people also will find it too much or whatever. Right? Like everyone has their own styles.
It's one of those things too it's very easy to say, and you know it's right, but to do it, I think we all know that's way more difficult. Like if you're gonna hit record and there's a chance that it's gonna be cringe, it's tough. It's really tough to convince yourself to jump off that ledge and do it.
Yeah.
But you're right. You gotta just keep swinging, and sometimes you hit home runs. Yeah, for sure.
And sometimes there's crickets, and you just hope everybody cuts it out of the recording.
You know,
that's exactly right. Yeah.
We've all had that moment. You know what I mean? I've said things where it was crickets, and in that moment, you know what I do is I end up telling myself, well, Skizz, if you want to call yourself a professional, you got to be at peace with this. You know, and Jim Carrey, when he first started doing stand up, I read this, I don't know how accurate it is. And for the record, as much as I love Jim Carrey, I was never a huge fan of his stand-up, believe it or not. I liked what he did in movies. But when he would do stand-up, he would deliberately write shows that were engineered to get him booed off stage. And it's because he wanted to become just complete, like getting booed off stage for an up-and-comer or somebody who actually, let's just go wet behind the ears, brand new. That's like the number one fear. Is the public, I mean, the public broadcasting how much they do not want you in front of them. And so he would get booed off stage, and he just kept doing it for no other reason other than to experience it, because it's going to end up happening organically sooner or later. And when it does, he just wanted to be numb to it. I remember being like, dude, this guy, there's a lot to be learned from this cat. Like it was just a very fascinating gig.
Wow.
We remember the days of Among Us. Remember when we used to play Among Us?
Oh, yeah.
Remember those days?
I was thinking about that just yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, such a fun game. So just the overall dynamics all over, all the lies and the storytelling, and the don't you try to throw me under the bus and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I want to bring up your brother. I want to bring up Patience. I got to talk about this because to this day, I'm not fully convinced that Pungence is a real person, because you two sound so, it's not like you sound similar. It's that every time one of you was talking, I'm like, who am I talking to? It is
same person.
Crazy how similar you sound. This is your younger brother. Is that right?
Younger brother.
That was such a cover playing Among Us, because Among Us was social deduction game. And it was like, oh, I heard BDubs in the other room. He must be the one that killed him. And it's like, wait, actually, that could have been Pungence, because for all we know,
wasn't me.
It wasn't him.
That's right.
It really throws through a loop. But I mean, you obviously you guys sound alike. But you mentioned in the last podcast that he also does YouTube. And I think I don't want to steal your question.
No, that was it. I wanted to dive into
Yeah,
that.
I
What
want to
does he
dive into
do?
that. Like, what is it like
Yeah.
having a family member that is actually like doing the same thing you're doing? Do you guys sit around the Thanksgiving table and talk about YouTube?
So, and let's just get it out there. He's better than I am. Okay. 2-point-something million subscribers. And we all know it's all measured by subs. No.
Yeah. Okay. That. Yeah, right.
No, but he is, my brother is a genius. He's the one, when I talked last episode about kind of like thinking more about how to succeed on YouTube, that's what he does best. You know, I'm going to come in, I'm going to hope that my humor or, you know, my skills at whatever I'm doing are going to carry me, where he's very much a thinker. So he studied. He kind of did YouTube at, and didn't have like huge success for a while. And then one day he was like, I'm going to figure this thing out. He's like, I either have to quit or I have to figure it out. And he figured it out so well. And he exploded. So a lot of, and honestly, the video that has the most views on my channel is a Paw Patrol video. And he helped craft that for me, you know? I think I had the idea of just doing it with my daughter. And I was just like, we're just going to do this thing. And he was like, there's very good potential if you title it like this, if you do the thumbnail like this. And he kind of helped. I was just like, okay, whatever. Most viewed video I've ever done by a long shot.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when it comes to success on YouTube, he really puts me to shame. It's unbelievable. One of the smartest guys I've ever met. So it is so fun to sit down and talk with him and kind of learn like how he's seen the space. And I kind of have a heads up on all these algorithm changes and stuff, because he's on it. Like he's already got this stuff figured out. The thing that most people don't know is that my sister is also a full-time YouTuber as well.
What?
Really?
Yeah. So
How many siblings do you have?
Just the two, my brother and sister.
And she's older or younger?
Youngest. She's
Oh yeah,
the
you said you're
youngest.
you're the firstborn. Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, she has a YouTube channel where she does, you know, just home decor stuff, and she was able to make a career out of it, which is just crazy to me. I don't know how. I think, you know, you get in early enough. It's like, oh, there's nobody here. The whole party's yours. You know, it's a little bit of that. I think we all kind of started a little bit early and you know, got a little bit of a foothold. But yeah, so my sister does it as well.
That's crazy.
So yeah, there is a lot of YouTube talk when the family all gets together. Well, actually, I should say there used to be. Now we're all kind of just like, more important to spend time together and learn about each other.
Well, that begs the question then. What do your parents think of all this?
Right. Yeah. They're shocked. They're shocked. I think, like, the fact that it was a tough thing for them to understand initially, like what this whole thing was. Nobody really knew. But, you know, they see that we're all happy and that we're all doing okay and successful. And I think that's all that matters to them, you know? So yeah. And never got any like resistance. You know how some in a situation like that, when parents are involved, they're like, no, you're gonna be a doctor, you know, which my brother had potential to do.
Wow.
But still, you know, went in this direction. Yeah. So they were always very supportive of that.
What does Pungence do? What's his YouTube channel about?
It is variety gaming, and it's a lot of the like smaller indie games. Like I think he started out, he was doing like Dragon Ball Z video game, and then he went on to Amazing Frog. Have you guys ever heard of this game, Amazing Frog?
No.
It's got this insane cult following. Huge. And it's a funny game. Like, it's this frog and the physics are real funny. Like, it can't stand up properly. And that was like his most popular thing for a very long time. But then Feed and Grow Fish is another one, but it's a lot of like these kind of smaller indie games that he's really carved out a niche for himself in.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever collaborate on something?
We have. Yeah, we have. We did like he doesn't do much Minecraft, but we did like the Marketplace had a Star Wars thing a couple years ago that we did together, and I don't know if he uploaded that. We played some other random games every once in a while. Clone Drone in the Danger Zone. You've probably never heard of that one either.
Nope.
How are people watching these things if nobody's ever heard of them? They're finding them. They're finding them like crazy. So yeah, we have done some stuff together in the past. And way in the past, you know, we used to play Minecraft together. Any server he was on Attack of the B Team server with me and stuff. So yeah, so we have done quite a bit together.
Very good. So let me ask you this. You are doing great. Your YouTube career is obviously a colossal success, and you are always a pleasure to listen to and always a pleasure to watch. And you do all these great things. What's in the future for BDubs? Like, do you want to expand to other platforms, other games? Do you want to reinvent yourself? Or are you just enjoying the ride?
You know what's a dangerous but good thing? I'm finding in life, I'm 41 now. Wait, we said we were in our 30s.
You're 27,
earlier.
bro.
I'm 30.
Oh, man.
I'm 27 now.
Yeah.
I'm finding there's so much gray in life. Like contentment is really sought after. Everybody says, you know, contentment is you want to be content with what you're doing. But when you become content, then it almost turns into lackadaisical. You lose your motivation and drive. And drive sometimes comes from lack of contentment. And Skizz, you're very fatherly, so maybe you can give me some therapy afterward on this. But I've become very content with where I am in life right now, with the family balance and the work balance and what I'm doing. And I feel like if nothing changed for the rest of my life, it would be perfect. I would be extremely happy. I don't even really want more. Like, I feel like there comes a point where you become so big that it's almost a burden, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm happy with my place within our group. I'm happy with our group and the people that I work with and stuff. And so it's a struggle in my head where I'm like, I have to force myself to like try to keep, cause rowboat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you gotta row, or else you're gonna sit in the ocean. So, you know, what do I want in the future? I want just the same. I want more of the same. I'm
BDubs. I'm gonna tell you right now. I think that is absolutely on point with health. I think that you are nailing it in regards to what it is to have a happy, healthy life. In fact, I was talking to my wife about you a couple weeks ago, and I said something about this BDubs cat. He's got it figured out. Like his balance is something that I'm aspiring to chase because we have to, like, there's no bigger threat to progress than comfort, right? Comfort is the biggest threat to progress. However, progress is not an absolute good. Progress can also become an addiction.
Sure.
And this guy sitting right next to me has a huge problem that I've been working on him with for years, is that it's never, ever good enough for him. He will never, ever be enough for him, ever. And until he gets that figured out, he's going to always feel like he hasn't made it, when in reality, he made it 850,000 subs ago.
Much.
Yeah. So it's like, it's one of those things where I personally, I have no advice for you. I have advice for me from you. I'm looking, and you have a very healthy outlook. You're very, very balanced. And this is something to where I aspire to be like that. I'm like, yes, comfort is the biggest threat to progress, but progress is not an absolute good. In most cases it is, but not in all, because it can become an addiction. So you be you, man. You're doing it.
There's a reason that he doesn't have a lot of gray hair on his face at the young age of 27. Oh, is there one in there, BDubs? Is there one?
I got 3 of them just chilling right
Pluck
here.
them now. Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I'm envious too. Like Impulse, like I said before, you're one of the most driven people, and everybody's different, and everybody is capable of handling, you know, certain weights. And another thing about you, Impulse, is your competitive mentality, which I am actually in awe, respect, and envious of it, because I'm a very competitive person too. When I used to play basketball, there were some times where I left the floor, my eyes are blood red. I've gotten in fights on the basketball court. But the problem with me when it comes to being competitive is I can't control the rage, and it gets out of hand. So in an effort, as I've learned in life, I shouldn't touch competitive stuff because I can't manage. You're somebody who has managed to be competitive, but also not without going over the top and extreme. If you lose something, yeah, you're frustrated and upset. So I think everybody can handle certain amounts of things, you know, and if you're able to handle that holding on to that drive for that period of time, I think that's a great thing too. So Skizz, sorry to reset all the work you've been doing.
No,
trying to.
No, the thing is, and I'm gonna out him a little bit.
Yeah.
Your bloodshot eyes and your rage, that was external. He has all the same stuff, but he keeps it right there in his chest, and it eats him alive. And that's if it didn't bother him, I would leave him alone. But but the competitive stuff, I get to see a side of him that a lot of people don't get to see. Not that he freaks out. It's not like he's unstable or anything.
Yeah.
But his desire to win, he doesn't want to win or be the best to feel good. He wants to win or be the best to feel normal. And and I can identify with that because I used to be that. And I dropped that baggage a long time ago. Winning was my everything when I was a kid. And I dropped that a long time ago because what a waste of time. So I just would rather just be in the moment and just be with the people around me. But it doesn't mean that that beast doesn't lie dormant within me, right? Every once in a while, something happens where I'm like, I can't stop until I get this done, or it's whatever. But no, it's fun to hear you talk about basketball. It's fun to hear you talk about you getting fights, have the bloodshot eyes and the rage, because that is like you walked onto the court with an expectation of yourself. And when it wasn't met, the world flipped upside down. And it sounds like you've. Does it lie dormant in you? Do you stay away from competitive stuff for that? You said you do, but are you staying away because you're afraid you're going to give into that dark side again?
Oh, it's not. Yes, but it's not even avoidance. It's more. It's not avoidance in I'm not going to participate. It's avoidance in I don't care if I win. Like I'm right off the bat, I really don't care if I'm successful or if I'm better than somebody in this. I'm just going to concede, you know. If I win, great, whatever, you know. But it's kind of just saying it's retreating in that way, where it's like the outcome doesn't matter.
It's a lot healthier.
That's not always the case.
No, of course
that's not always the case. But it's
Can I tell him what we say about him?
We say lots
what
of
we
stuff.
say about BDubs?
Yes.
What we say about you is that we believe you're going to live forever.
Oh, yeah.
Because it just seems like nothing stresses you out. You know what I mean? Like you just, like you said, you're content. You're finding yourself in a space to be content. So when things don't go well, we publish a video and our views drop, you know, a year ago, we're getting 1 million views. Now we're getting 100,000 if we're lucky. It doesn't seem, at least from what I've seen, to get under your skin, to keep you up at night, to where, like you said, for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to figure out how to fix this, how to correct this, and how to get back up to, you know what I mean? And so it seems like you've got that kind of like chillness, and you're just like, you know what I mean? Like, like whatever comes, and you're content, and hence the no gray hairs joke. I mean, it just does, it does feel like your blood pressure must be so much better than mine.
You know, I think it's you go through, it's almost like if somebody's been homeless their whole life and you give them a home, it's like they've experienced that, you know, down here. And so there's, when you have that as a frame of reference where it's like, oh man, things could be way worse than they are right now. I think that's kind of a thing that helps me put things into perspective, is like, you know, you go through some tough times, and it helps you appreciate the current, you know, how good things are. Doesn't mean, dude, the other day I was swearing at the coffee machine so hard when I woke up because it wasn't working. Like, I still get my blood pressure can boil. I can get mad. Oh, and driving, I was driving 2 hours for Christmas, and the people, if they heard what I said about them,
Oh,
I'd be put in jail. So I can certainly get angry and frustrated at times, but yeah, just kind of like being a little self-aware and just trying to check myself. I think we all struggle with that, though.
Yeah.
You know?
well, I want to hear, and this is actually for my own selfish reasons, right? So you're in your 40s, I'm in my 40s. I'm older than you. I'm not I'm not in my 60s or anything, so I'm not horrendously older than you. So
Right.
it could be argued that we're a similar age.
Sure.
You know, I've seen comments on past podcasts of when we interview people, and they're like, you know, you talk these people up a lot. It's 100% genuine, and I'm going to do it again. You look fantastic, and I want to know what is, like, this is for me. Like, what is this, a diet-based thing? Is this an exercise-based thing? Because I think that also the fact that he is, like, has a good grip on life, that is going to feed in to his health. And and sometimes people look healthy and they're not, so I don't want to presume too much here, but
Yeah.
you look great. Tell
you.
the public a little bit about your daily regimen.
Sure. Yeah. It's probably interesting to people. It's not normal. But I've always, like, growing up, once you're full grown around high school and college age, and I kind of settled at, my weight was like 170. And I felt comfortable at that weight. But then, you know, your weight can stay the same, but your body then turns a different shape. It was like, I was still 170, you know, 10 years later, but it was like different 170. So I was like, well, you know what? I could try to do something about this. And so yeah, I through the years, I'm never like religiously consistent, but just through the years, I'll have spurts of like a couple months of like really working out, you know, just like your standard, what do they call it? Weight, not focusing on reps, but more just weights, you know, 12 reps of whatever weight.
Resistance training stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. But now, 10 years later after that, I realized the most important thing is diet. So I figured out, for my lifestyle, my lethargic sit at the chair lifestyle, I really need like 15 to 1700 calories a day. And beyond that, it's not, it's just excess, you know? So I got in and I tracked all my food for a while, you know, a couple months, see, okay, get some macros right, where it's a little more protein than fat and whatnot. And I figured out a diet that I liked, and I've eaten that nonstop for like 3 years. The exact same thing every day. Little mixes, you know, order food or whatever, I'll eat that. But like my food, I make it. I know exactly the calories that are in it, and I eat the exact same thing every day. It's probably so boring to hear that.
Well,
but it's easy way for me. I know myself, and I know that what I do has to be super easy. It has to be easier than me driving to Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll go. And it has to at least taste decent, you know. So I've just got, you know, my my stuff figured out for that. And I think that's kind of helped me even more than working out. Although I'm finding as I'm getting older, the working out is also necessary for your joints and stuff.
Yeah, that's what's interesting. Like a lot of, because I used to be a trainer. Like I used to be a CrossFit trainer back in the day, and I used to be a gymnast when I was younger. And so I know what it is to feel healthy, what it is to look healthy. I think I know what it is to get healthy. Somewhere along the way, I've lost my way fantastically, but
stop it.
But no, it's not self-deprecation. I'm just a real.
I blame DoorDash.
It's yeah,
for real.
Yeah.
Yes.
But one of the biggest things, and you just touched on it, man, is that, being healthy, looking healthy, it does not mean that one is healthy, right? And
Right.
you can work out all day, every day, and that's going to help with your strength. And if you do it right, it's going to help with your mobility. But
Yes.
people who want to look good, you nailed it. That happens in the kitchen, right? That happens in the kitchen, and that is such an unless you're Michael Phelps. And you're swimming, 20 miles a day and burning through 5,000 calories. Or unless you're 17, you're not gonna. You gotta do what BDubs just said.
In general, you can't out exercise a bad diet.
Correct.
No.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
In general.
No. And I remember because I have cousins that are just like insane shape, like just natural kind of. They obviously work towards it, but they were born to be in, muscular guys.
Yep.
We know those sorts of people. So I always, growing up, I was like, I want that 6-pack that they got. So I was always working out my abs, thinking I'd get a 6-pack. But abs don't come from exercise.
Nope.
They come from how you eat. 100%.
Comes from the kitchen. Or be 17. Like you got to pick one of them.
Or be 17 years old.
Yeah, fix your diet or be 17. I'm married to somebody who she is like her family. She's Hawaiian, and they just muscle. Her brother, my brother-in-law, came out of the womb with a 6-pack. Like he's just been in shape. This guy is one of those guys to where when he looks his worst, he still looks better than most, and it's just it's so frustrating. But it's good for you. Good job, buddy. But that doesn't happen. And you know, my wife, I mean, when she like works out, like things are looking great. When she's not, things are looking good. Like, it's like, what's happening here? So I'm with you, man. I'm not having another fitness discussion. I'm not doing it. It's gonna,
it takes that discipline. You know what I mean? And if you can apply that same discipline that you applied when you started YouTube and made sure that you were posting videos on a frequent basis, in order to get somewhere that you wanted to go, you apply that same mentality to your diet, your workout regimen, then I think that's when you can find yourself in a decent spot, which seems like you have. You know what I mean? Like Skizz said, you're looking great.
Thank you. Yeah, I think there's also a balance with that too. I mean, the whole thing, we could talk about balance and everything, couldn't we? But there's sometimes when I'm like, I need, like right now, actually, I'm about to be real mean. That's why I'm taking January off, because I'm going to be cranky. Because, over Christmas time, naturally you're eating all food like crazy. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I got on the scale the other day. I'm up 10 pounds.
Happens quick. Happens quick when you're this old, doesn't it?
It happens real quick. It is primarily water weight, but it's like, okay, I'm going to have to kind of cut things down a little bit. And then that can start to affect your mood, So I think in that case, there's some people where it's like, it's better to be happy, as long as you're within a healthy range. Happiness kind of might reign over. I don't know. That might be too controversial.
Oh, he stopped himself.
I don't know. Yeah. But I mean, isn't that is that a good point that sometimes it's okay to, you don't have to micromanage everything.
Correct.
You eat.
You have to have a healthy relationship with food. You have to have a healthy relationship with just where you stand, right? Like
with yourself.
Happiness is there was a time there. We're going to do a whole podcast on this another time. There was a time there where, and for the record, I don't think I'm right, but I was like, I think I just figured out the meaning of life. I mean, and that was since I was a young idiot, but I was like, when it comes down to it, I really do think that the purpose of life is to be happy. And I'm not saying it should be. I just think that it is, because, again, we're going to talk about this in another podcast, but I feel like everything we do can be reduced down to being self-serving. No matter how outwardly selfless it looks, it can be self-serving. So if that's the case, if it is within our DNA to do whatever we can to be self-serving, then that should mean that the objective of life is to be happy. I think life is much deeper than that. I really do. But my point being that I agree with you that you've got to have a healthy relationship, not just with food and not just with the fitness thing, but with yourself. You have to be able to, not that if you are not happy unless you have the perfect body, well, if that's who you're going to be, if that's who you're going to be, then you're going to be one of those people that ends up having a perfect body. Right. But if the journey isn't just miserable for you the whole time, you're going to have to pull a lever. You're going to have to right the ship and adjust a little bit, because you cannot live like that. And what's 100%. Worse is that living like that is actually will slow down what you're trying to do. Well, you know, you have this, you internalize this negative crap, and it ends up just sort of kind of running the show for you, and you fight it. You're paddling upstream the entire time.
I mean, how many times have you found that like stress is the reason that, you know, you're gaining weight and not able to make it to the gym 100%. And stuff, and 100%. And so like, finding that balance, you know, it all comes back to that word balance, you know, is a good thing. It seems like, you know, you've been through a lot, BDubs, over the last 12 years, and you've kind of like, we're riding that wave, you know, and it does feel to me, at least, you know, from what I see, that you found a very, very great spot in being comfortable, and being like not being super stressed, and just finding your balance. And you know, that takes sometimes, like you said, to kind of have that baseline of what you know you could be at, and then just trying to find where you're comfortable, where you're happy. So that's really cool, man. That's really cool, and very inspiring to see somebody that seems like that, you know, you've made it there, and you're just, and you're cool. You're happy with where you're at, you know, like you're not stressed about tomorrow. It feels like.
If they stop updating Minecraft, I'll be pretty pissed off. So you can interview me.
Hey, we will fit you in on a Phasmo stream anytime.
Perfect.
You know, we'll switch to Phasmophobia or some other.
There we go.
You know, Lethal Company is now the new one. That's
true.
That everybody seems to be into. But you know, I got a feeling no matter what comes next for you, you know, given all the skills and knowledge you've obtained in your life, you're gonna be just fine. Like, you have no reason to stress over if Minecraft died tomorrow. You know what I mean? You know, you're gonna do just fine. But oh my gosh, 1,880,000 million viewers, million subscribers. You've published 3,871 videos on your main channel alone. You've done other stuff. You've done vlogs, and you know, you've done a lot of streaming in the past. You have accomplished quite a lot, sir, and you're still going, and it feels like you still have a passion behind all the content you create, which is just incredible to see after all that. So congratulations to you, man. You are a true inspiration.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I know you said you didn't want to hear all the accolades.
No, that's too bad.
You're going to be blushing and stuff.
If you're going to be that awesome, this is the burden you must bear.
That's too bad.
Now, one thing that we didn't quite mention enough of is that we know how time is precious, man. And we did a whole podcast on what it is on the concept of time, and you know what it means and I just want to say, and I know I speak for Impulse, I'm so grateful and thankful that you gave your time to us to do this podcast. I know I've been looking forward to this one. So thank you so much for being a part of this, man.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. I'm really happy to be on. It was great.
Thank your wife and kids for us too, because I know we're taking some time, especially during this kind of holiday break. So thank them from us as well for lending you.
I'm not going to thank my wife. I'm not going to thank her, because she was at Sam's Club. Do you guys have Sam's Club over there?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. She was at Sam's Club, and the whole time we did this. So it was just my kids that watched themselves. So I'll tell them thank you.
Okay.
Very good.
All right.
I'll tell my wife too.
Are they watching Paw Patrol? Is that?
You know, these kids these days, they got their iPad. They've watched 1,000 videos in the time that we've been talking here.
Yeah, probably.
That's how it works. So at least the first 20 seconds of 1,000 videos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, man. Well, we'll let you get back to your holiday vacation. Happy New Year's to you. By the time this comes out, we'll have already been the new year. So can't wait to see what we get up to in 2024. You and I have some plans that some people are already
Don't give spoilers.
Figured it out. That's it. Hey, if people made it to the end of part 2 of this podcast, they deserve a little bit of extra info.
Yeah.
So I will be seeing your lovely face again in season 10 of Hermitcraft, won't I?
Absolutely.
Oh man, looking forward to it. All right, man. Well, thank you again. And
BDubs, you're great, man. Thank you so
amazing.
much for your time.
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
you.
This was a blast.
All right, we'll let you go. Have a good one, man.
Bye.
All right. See ya.
See ya.